Those Cowboys, boy, they'll be looking to put an end to their first losing streak of the season. They welcome the NFC North champion Detroit Lions to Jerry's World. Cowboys, unbeaten at home, need the win to keep pace for the division title. Here's Dak Prescott on elevating his play.
Even on good plays, there's things that I feel like I could do better, and that's kind of who I've always been. I know numbers and I know things kind of say I'm playing well and that, but wins and to me a quarterback's judged off of wins and losses. So if it's a loss, I could have done more one way or another. Trying to make a play here or there, getting out of trouble here or there, whatever it may be, and I'm going to continue to critique my game that way.
Okay, so that's Dak. Bart, which quarterback would you prefer? Playoff run. You want Dak, you want Jared Goff?
I mean, I got to keep it real. I got to go with Dak simply because when the structure breaks down, Dak has an element of his game that Jared Goff doesn't have. And he's starting to implement it a lot more when you talk about him using his legs. You know, and I think that's going to be key and vital. When the play breaks down, you see it with Lamar Jackson as well, buying time to throw, but also being able to pick up those pivotal first downs. You know, if Dak decides to be the runner that he's been in the last couple of weeks, then it's certain coverages that you just can't play against him. You can't have a four-man rush and playing man-to-man coverage and turn your back against an athletic quarterback because they'll be able to pick it up. So I got to go with Dak Prescott right now. And championship medal was made out of pain. Nobody's had more pain and disappointment than the Dallas Cowboys. And right now, you talk about a young group and the Lions going out there. They don't know what they don't know, and they'll find out what playoff football was all about. A lot different from regular season.
That's very big of you not choosing with your heart.
It's funny you said they don't know what they don't know. Jared Goff knows how to get to a Super Bowl.
That's one person.
That's all right, but that's okay. But the topic is talking about the quarterback position. I'm going with a guy who's been there. Yes, they lost to the New England Patriots. Lost to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, but this is a guy. I don't know why you're looking at me sideways there.
Didn't that get him traded?
Huh? That's okay. Did he get to the Super Bowl?
He did.
Okay.
Did he win it?
Has Dak sniffed the Super Bowl?
Stop with your heart.
Has Dak sniffed the Super Bowl? No. And listen, I'm going to say this. Yes, Bart, you have a point about how Dak Prescott has been using his legs, you know, to the betterment, and that's really helped him as far as how he's been playing this year. One thing I'll say about Jared Goff, I think Jared Goff is in a perfect place. He's in a perfect spot in Detroit. Cast up, former number one pick, cast off, get basically thrown in the trade. He got thrown in the trade. That's exactly where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. Guy who clearly has a chip on his shoulder. The way this offensive system is built around Jared Goff is perfect because they want to first and foremost bludgeon you and do what Jared Goff does best, as good as any quarterback in the National Football League. Throwing on play action, okay? To me, that's where Jared Goff thrives at. And you know what? You know why you looking at me all sideways and everything? We're gonna have a first-hand look at this whole debate come this weekend.
Yes.
This weekend, Dak Prescott against Jared Goff.
Yes.
So, we'll revisit this whole thing, this whole discussion after this weekend.
Well, I think since we're in New York, Jay-Z once said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So, Jared Goff, last 4 weeks, you look at what he's done. 11 TDs, 6 turnovers. Dak Prescott, MVP the last 8-9 weeks of the season. Dak Prescott has thrown the third most TDs in the red zone of any quarterback. That's 22 of them. First QB to throw for 30 touchdowns this season. Dak Prescott keeps playing and getting better and better and better every week. Go ahead.
You as publicist?
Well, in case you did not know, y'all.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This man is a Cowboys fan. Now, he is right, though. Brian is right. The answer is Dak. From just strictly player and the skill set, I think why we've seen the Cowboys offense sort of have this turnaround since the season started is because Dak's legs. I wish he would use those more. I wish that it's that. I feel like that element of his game is what makes him special. Now, to your point about Jared Goff, I spoke to Taylor Decker this year when they played, I think heading into the Ravens game, which they did get bludgeoned in, but heading into that game, he talked about how Jared Goff literally sent to Detroit. Taylor Decker, a lifer in Detroit, sent there as a cast-off, sent there, his career was over. People wanted to malign him. And what we're seeing now is Jared Goff having this career resurrection, which is wonderful to see. I think this season, to your point about Dak, MVP type of season, the numbers that he's putting up until a few weeks ago, Dak was the clear favorite as far as the MVP for a lot of people, right?
Homecoming game.
But again, still, with both of these quarterbacks, there's a lot more to see, a lot more questions to be answered on both sides because the turnovers with Goff this year has been an issue. And also Dak not being able, and this team not being able to beat good teams on the road, Brian, is an issue.
Yes.
So we gonna see.
Well, here's
see.
the interesting thing. I think with Detroit, I think they have the second most rushing yards than anybody. That's the reason, one of the main reasons why Jared Goff has been so good. Only behind Baltimore, I think, is Detroit because Gibbs and Montgomery have been outstanding.
Headed towards 1,000.
Is this a must-win, you think, for the Cowboys? Considering, look, they haven't lost at home, but now all of a sudden they get another playoff team coming in there, and they haven't fared well against teams that have winning records.
1,000.
Well, I don't think it's a must-win because even if they do win, what does it prove to us, right? Our question marks about Dallas is the fact that they can't win on the road against an opponent that has a quarterback that can defend itself on the other side. Really, why, if you want to make a case for why it's a must-win, is because that number 1 seed is still available. Because I believe San Francisco lose to the Rams, because they always playing well in Week 18. But getting back to like the quarterback debate and who you will take, oddly enough, a playoff, your playoff record is a quarterback stat, but it's a team result. Right, so like when you think about it, it's not the fact that Dak hasn't been holding up his end of the bargain on the offensive side of the ball. It's that this defense suddenly can't stop the run. So no matter what, you talk about on the other side, though, you talk about the Detroit Lions. They don't have a guy outside of Aiden Hutchinson. They can't get big stops. They can't rush the passer. So it could be a short-lived, type of result for them in the playoffs as well. We know what playoff football is all about. Packing your run game and your defense. The Lions have the most suspect defense out of all the teams that's going to be in the tournament.
The interesting thing, though, the Cowboys have been having issues on that left tackle spot, though, with Tyron Smith and those guys being out. So that's been a big problem for them. But you go to the Lions, that's what they do best is run the football. And if you're Dallas, you got to show that you can stop a team that can bludgeon you running the football.
You talking
about language.
You're talking about language there. But listen, I feel like we've seen Dak put up stats. We've seen Dak Prescott put up stats plenty of times before. At the end of the day, listen, you at home against a good team in the Detroit Lions, we know you Jekyll and Hyde. If you don't go out here and beat Detroit at home, now the narrative is going to be, okay, going to the postseason, this Dallas Cowboys team ain't doing anything because now the one thing we've talked about how they play good at home, if that get destroyed psychologically for Dallas, you in a bad spot.
Because you're talking about a playoff team that they might see down the road.
Somebody's getting upset. Somebody's going to get upset first round of playoffs. It happens every year. But where Dallas sits right now, they'll be going to Tampa. So I don't know if you want to improve your status because you much rather have that as your number 1. If you got to go on a road, I'd rather go against Tampa than any other team in that division.
Okay, we'll see what happens here. Coming up next, though, how about Russell Wilson? Time in Denver.